King Janmejaya was told by his ministers that his father was killed by a snake called Takshaka. The king was struck with deep grief and took an oath that he would undertake a snake sacrifice and destroy the entire snake race along with snake Takshaka. He called his priest and asked him how they could burn snake Takshaka and all his relatives in the blazing fire of the sacrifice. The officiating priests were called. The required ingredients were collected. Abundant quantities of riches and food grains were arranged, and the sacrificial platform was built. But an architect who was extremely wise and skilled in the knowledge of architecture predicted that the way the platform was constructed indicated that the sacrifice will not be completed. It will be interrupted. On hearing this, King Janmejaya ordered the doorkeeper that no one should be allowed to enter without his knowledge. Finally, the snake sacrifice started according to the prescribed norms. The hotar for the ritual was the Brahmana named Chandabhargava of Rishi Chavana's lineage. Maharshi Vyasa, together with his disciples, was the assisting priest. The officiating priests were dressed in black. Their eyes became red from the smoke of the sacrifice. They started giving offerings to the sacrificial fire by chanting mantras or the holy hymns. The priest started uttering the names of different snakes. The hearts of the snakes trembled in fear. Snakes from all the worlds were forcibly attracted to the flames of the sacrifice. Snakes, one after the other, started dropping into the blazing flames of the sacrificial fire. They were screaming. Snakes in large numbers started falling into the fire. They were white, black, blue, old and young, and many snakes perished. Some were as small as rats, the others were as long as trunks of elephants. Snakes of many colors, poisonous, terrible with immense strength, started falling into the fire in large numbers. Some had 7 heads, some had 2, and some with 5 heads. They had terrible form, and their poison was like fire. They were sacrificed in hundreds and thousands. They were capable of assuming any form at will and going anywhere at will, all of them being burnt in the great sacrifice. Meanwhile, the king of snakes, Vasuki, started feeling miserable. He called his sister Jaratkaru and said, "My lips are burning. I can no longer see directions. I am about to fall. I am losing my consciousness. My sight is failing. My heart is about to burst. I am completely numb. I may soon fall into the blazing fire without resisting. The time has arrived for your son Astika to save all the remaining snakes from being burnt in the sacrifice of King Janmejaya." The snake woman called her son Astika and told him that the snake sacrifice is being performed, and it was predicted that Astika was born for the purpose of causing obstacle and stop the snake sacrifice. On hearing his mother's words, Astika swiftly went to the place where the sacrifice was being held. But the gatekeepers refused entry to him. Astika exhibited immense knowledge and gained entry. He pleased the king and others. King Janmejaya was very much impressed with Astika. He said, "Though Astika is a child, he speaks like a wise man. He needs to be honored. I wish to grant him a boon." King Janmejaya said, "Ask for the desire in your heart, and I promise that I will grant it to you." At that very instant, Astika said, "If you wish to grant me a boon, then stop this sacrifice immediately. Let no more snakes fall into the sacrifice. At that moment, Snake Takshaka was about to fall into the sacrificial fire. But Janmejaya was truthful. He was forced to stop the sacrifice. The king said, "As Astika wishes, stop the sacrifice." With this declaration, all the remaining snakes, along with Takshaka, were saved. Astika returned to his mother, where an assembly of delighted snakes gathered. They said, "O child, you saved us. What is your desire? What boon do you want from us?" For this, Astika replied, "Those who read about this act of mine with a peaceful mind in the morning and evening have no reason to fear snakes." For this, the snake said, "It shall be exactly as you wish." He who invokes the immensely famous and truthful Astika, born to Jaratkaru from Jaratkaru, will be protected from snakes. Those who remember the names of great sages Asita, Artimana, and Sunita during the day or at night will never face any danger from snakes. Having saved the snakes from being burnt in the snake sacrifice, Astika lived a life of discipline and had a long life with many sons and grandsons.
This story is taken from Astika Parva, Adi Parva of Mahabharata.